boys and girls, children of all ages. The Nerdy Man Room Show proudly brings you Cards Subject to Change with Hassel. And I got a mega edition for you guys today. I apologize for not having an episode last week. We're doing the every other 2 weeks thing because this is a mega edition. This isn't just any edition. It isn't just any what if. This is the ultimate what if. What if the WCW Invasion of 2001 had been the invasion we had all envisioned and hoped for? Now, let's just be honest. For those of you that do not have the benefit of flash photography or a photographic memory, the old school invasion we got in 2001 after Vince bought his competition, as he put it, and bought WCW, it was the drizzling shits. There's just no nice way to say it. I mean, the only real star power he got was Buff Bagwell, DDP, and Booker T. And they shit the bed and got rid of Buff right off the rip after a terrible matchup in Tacoma, Washington with Booker T for the world title. They brought Diamond Dallas Page in, not as the people's champion, with the bang like we always knowed and loved. And I mean, he's trailer park, but I mean, hey, we loved him, you know. They bring him in as a stalker for the Undertaker's wife. I mean, he was married to Kimberly Page. I don't think, and there's no knock on the Undertaker, but that chick Sarah he was married to, she's a butterhead at best. He's not stalking her. This is bullshit. Why would you bring him in this way? Why would you not bring one of your top faces of WCW in as a fucking face? But hey, who knows? They had some good talent to come with them. Some of the young guys that were coming over, Palumbo, Jim Tracker, O'Hare. Some of these guys, they had signed Mike Awesome, former ECW champion. They had some guys, Hugh Morris. I like these guys, but they're not the face of WCW. So let's dive into what if we actually got the invasion we always dreamed. Let's armchair quarterback this, and I'm just going to go ahead and say right now, this is on optimal, this is God mode, optimal settings, the right things aligned, contracts, money, health, they just all aligned here. So let's just throw that out the window now so we can enjoy this, people. So let's begin with what if the WCW invasion went correctly. So we'll start out May 28th. Former ECW champion Mike Awesome arrives unannounced and wins the Hardcore Championship against Crash Holly. He looks at the camera and says, "We're here." Now that pretty much is what happened. We'll even go into the King of the Ring there a week later, where Booker T will make his debut through the crowd. Still the same way, kicking Austin's ass, shooting out back through the crowd. The only difference is he don't boo-boo up Austin's hand, and Austin don't pull I'm better than you bullshit and give a sour, taste in the office mouth. We'll start with that. We'll move into June 25th, Raw. Austin calls out Booker T for the two to get into a brawl. Angle comes down to help Austin, and then out of nowhere, Diamond Cutter, DDP has arrived. DDP and Booker escape through the crowd. Now this is how you debut the Diamond Dallas Page. On SmackDown, Kurt Angle versus Mankind versus a masked luchador. Masked luchador number 3 to be specific. Angle takes the match as a joke. A few suplexes, a lot of taunting. Then out of nowhere, Diamond Cutter. 1, 2, 3. The masked superstar luchador number 3 takes his mask off, and he's none other than our favorite trailer park trash, Diamond Dallas Page. Bang! July 2nd, Tacoma, Washington, Raw. Now, we still get that shitty Booker versus Buff Bagwell matchup. It was the wrong place, the wrong time. It wasn't so much that the match was bad. Still the worst match in history, but it's not so much that the match is bad. It's just the wrong timing. Wrong place, we get it. The only difference is he doesn't turn Buff. I'm a little tongue twisted today, guys. Buff doesn't turn WWF at the end and to get kicked out of the building afterwards after they double turn on him. On SmackDown, Vince comes down and tells WCW is nothing more than a joke. That's when Shane comes down He says, Shane, all you bought was a logo, a couple titles, and the B Squad. Shane comes out and says, okay, you think that's what you got? You think you wanted to make a mockery of WCW on Monday night? We know what you were doing there, but you know what? We're going to Atlanta, GA on Monday for Raw. And guess what? I got a huge surprise for you. Vince turns around to a blockbuster from Buff Bagwell. Atlanta, Raw, Georgia. Vince opens the show with Kane, The Undertaker, Austin, Angle, and The Big Show all in the ring with him. He gives them the business for allowing Buff to get his hands on him. And he goes, Atlanta, the home of the wrestling fan. Hey, Ted, I won. Out comes Shane smiling. Hotlanta, who's ready for some WCW? Out of nowhere, the Nitro theme starts to play, and then out walks Eric Bischoff. Vince McMahon is livid. What's the matter, Vince? Cat got your tongue? You know, I watched last week as you try to bury WCW brand, but I don't know, Atlanta. I feel like there's still some 83 weeks left in this fight. What do you say? Let's give them what WCW really has. Eric would then continue and say, you know, Vince, I once begged you to come on my show, gave you a time slot even, but yet here it is, I'm the only one that had the grapefruits as I'm the one that showed up on your show. The home crowd erupts at this. That's right, Vince. Shane was the money, and I am the mind. You know, you scoffed last week about the B team. Well, you know, there's some big boys here tonight. As that says, the Nitro theme starts to play. Out comes Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, and Canyon. You know, we've seen them. But then there's a pause. After the pause, Lex Luger, Rick and Scott Steiner, Stevie Ray, Shane Douglas, and Dustin Rhodes all come out. And that's Dustin, not Dusty, baby. Vince is livid. He sends everyone but Austin down there. Then, out of the rafters comes a shadowy figure rappelling down as it's Sting! Sting drops Austin with a scorpion death drop, sends McMahon into the corner, Stinger splash on McMahon. Oh! And Sting is in the WWF, and he is with WCW. Now, as that happens, we would go into later on in the night. The main event will be Booker T defending the U.S. Championship against none other than DDP. We get a great match in Atlanta, and the crowd is on fire. Austin and Kurt Angle come down to distract Booker T as he turns right around into a cutter for a 1, 2, 3. And new U.S. champion, Diamond Dallas Page. Austin and Angle will then jump DDP and Booker. Out comes Undertaker, Kane, and Big Show. Steiners and Luger are quickly running to the ring. Huge brawl. Sting returns to the ringside, turning the tide for Team WCW. Finally, we get none other than the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Ross is screaming. Nature Boy is in ATL, and this is Flair country. Team WCW stand tall to end the show. This is already better than anything we could have got back in the day. People were giving you gold here. Uncle Baby Billy says, I'm just shitting it out for you. On SmackDown, the WCW locker room is buzzing. Booker T and Shane are laughing when Sting walks up and says, you know, Booker, on the last episode of Nitro, I took pride in knowing you were our champion moving forward into the unknown. Then I watch you and Buff look like two jabronis out there on Raw looking for stupid for the whole world. And with the very world title that I held 9 different occasions. Letting Stunning Steve, of all people, who's singing in their locker room, and this is the episode of SmackDown where Steve Austin is singing in the locker room, people. Where's the player at from WCW that made everyone put him in the main event scene? Where's that guy, Book? Booker T hangs his head. Because Booker, if the Booker I respected don't show up real soon, DDP won't be the only one taking gold away from you. on July 22nd. Fully loaded pay-per-view. Okay, we getting this instead of Invasion because I'm just going to be honest, people. The Invasion is going to be an angle, not a pay-per-view. You know what we initially got. The crap. We're not giving you that. We're giving you gold, people. So we're going with fully loaded, which is what the normal pay-per-view was for that time of year. WCW Tag Team Champions, as Chuck Palumbo and O'Hare drop the titles to the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker. We're already elevating those titles. In the main event, you get Sting, Booker T, and a mystery partner versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, and The Big Show. Team WWF comes out first. The crowd is electric. Next come out Booker and Sting. Then the drums begin, and out comes Goldberg. Goldberg. Yeah, I know we wanted him in Atlanta, people, but we got him at the pay-per-view. The roof blows off the building. The excitement is at a fever pitch. Fast-paced match, massive stare down between Austin and Sting at one point. The match ends as Goldberg spears Big Show. Booker pins Kurt Angle after a booking. That's right, people. We give Booker T, the WCW World Champion, a little bit of love here. On Raw, Vince would open, calling out Eric Bischoff down to the ring. Bischoff, Shane, and Booker T come down, all smiles after last night's victory. Vince, mighty happy after winning the main event last night, I see. Did you forget Kane and The Undertaker are now the WCW Tag Team Champions? We're going to rub a little salt in the wound. What if Booker says, we can fix that, sucker? Vince not happy with Booker's comments. Eric, I approached you in your request last one for SummerSlam, and one condition, the superstar of my choice challenges for the WCW Championship at SummerSlam. So Eric's like, you're approved. If you approve every match that I asked for and the titles we asked for, you can put whoever you want to against our WCW champion. We're confident in him. Vince would then reply, you got it. Then an unmistakable music hits as The Rock has returned. Now, The Rock has been out of action since WrestleMania when Austin turned on him, or turned on the people and joined up with McMahon. The Rock has been gone, suspended. He was ready to film with the Scorpion King. Yeah, we won't forget about that part too. Finally, The Rock has returned. He eyes Booker down. I could roast you on this mic, but nah. Rock will show you a little bit of respect for that title that you're holding right there, because I do recognize that title. The Rock values the legacy of the title, he says. The big gold belt, even if a bitch is their champion right now. This would fucking make Booker irate. A fight would erupt between the two. Rock and Booker going at it, with The Rock gaining the upper hand. On WWF.com, we get announced the card for SummerSlam. You get the WCW Tag Team Champions, Kane and The Undertaker, against Buff and Lex Luger. That's right. They were a tag team during this era here, people. Looking back at your end of your WCW, they wasn't a bad tag team. It was totally Buff, in case you didn't know. We got the WWF Tag Team Champions, the Dudley Boys. Get up, get up, get up. Versus the Steiner Brothers. But at this point, it's Big Papa Pump, the big bad booty daddy Scott Steiner, and then a dog-faced gremlin who is doing his edgier gimmick by this time as well. You get IC Champion Edge versus Goldberg. WCW Champion Booker T versus The Rock. And WWF Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Sting. Man, do you imagine the buy rates that would have happened on this pay-per-view right here? Vince, I'm giving you money, baby. The Raw before SummerSlam is Sting and Booker T versus Austin and The Rock. Now, this match would shatter TV ratings. While Team WCW is unified, Austin and The Rock are not even in the same book. They are not on the same page, book, anything. Austin abandons Rock, leaving him to a scissor kick and a bookend for the 1, 2, 3 as Booker T pins The Rock. Sting and Booker stand tall as JR and the King state the future of the WWF is looking mighty grim. August 2001, SummerSlam. We get an opening match of Intercontinental Champion Edge versus Goldberg. Now, this is going to be a typical Goldberg match. Ground and pound, spear, jackhammer, win, and new Intercontinental Champion, Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg. Kane and The Undertaker would, however, successfully defend the WCW Tag Team Championships against Totally Buffed. We ain't got to get into this, people. X-Pac would go on this night and unify the Cruiserweight and the Light Heavyweight Championship when none other than the Outsiders arrive and help X-Pac. Six joins the NWO and Team WCW. In the match of the night, now this is not the main event, but it is going to be the match of the night. The Steiners versus WWF Tag Team Champions, the Dudleys. Steiners win the titles, but this, if you haven't seen it, go to some classic TNA. They did have a couple of matchups together, and even though it was 5 years removed from when we should have got it, it's still gold, people. They knew the psychology. You could only imagine what we'd have got 5 years earlier. Ric Flair, however, would pin RVD when Shane Douglas, the franchise, would interfere. Sting versus WWF Champion Stone Cold Steve Austin. Solid back and forth match. Both men having control at various points in the matchup. At one point, Luger would come down to help Sting, but Sting refuses the help. Austin stuns Luger. Jericho comes down to help Austin, but Austin refuses. Sting puts a death drop on Y2J. Austin goes for a stunner, but Sting counters, sweeping the leg and applying the Scorpion Deathlock. Austin will be screaming in pain, fighting for the ropes. As Sting is repositioning him to the center of the ring, Austin taps and new WWF Champion Sting. Man, I would have loved to have heard the Fink say that one time. Come on, people. I know we're moving through this fast, this guy. We got a lot of ground to cover. In the main event, you get The Rock versus WCW Champion Booker T. Now, Shane would come out with Booker. Rock, however, he still gets the win. Pretty much the same match we got at SummerSlam. Well, I mean, why fix perfection, people? It was a good match. Booker didn't come out on top, unfortunately, but The Rock is your new WCW champion. Raw would open up with the new WCW champion, The Rock. Mid-Rock promo, the NWO music would start. Out comes Hall, Nash, and Six. The crowd starts chanting, "Holy shit." Hall takes the mic. "Hey, yo." Nash laughs and says, "We're back." They proceed to tell The Rock he got a little title that don't belong to him on his shoulder up there. The Rock will look at him and say, "Well, the 3 count I put on that bitch T last night says otherwise, Chico." Nash will be looking at him going, "Oh, you're just a paper champion. We got the real champion, and he is here tonight." Out of nowhere, Voodoo Child plays, and out comes Hollywood Hulk Hogan to attack The Rock. NWO come down and beat him down good. Ross would point out that Hogan's last match in WCW saw him win the title in controversial fashion at Bash at the Beach when they pulled the Russo finish and he just basically put his foot on Jarrett and pinned him for the title. Out come the Brothers of Destruction. Ring clears out. Out comes Vince to announce that the main event will be the NWO versus Rock, Big Show, and the Brothers of Destruction. Backstage, we get tons of infighting within Team WWF. As Austin and Kurt Angle argue over Stone Cold losing the WWF Championship last night. The main event, NWO versus Team Rock. Now, this will be a white hot crowd with the NWO looking in great shape. Now, they looked really great in their return about a year later. So, we're going to say they really got some stuff in Hall's on the wagon. We're in perfect form. Everything's lining up, people. Hall and Pac pretty much carried the match with occasional hot tags to Nash and Hogan. In the closing moments of the match, The Rock has Hall down with the people's elbow when, bam, choke slam from The Big Show. That's right, people. You can't trust him. Nash would jump in, cover The Rock for the win. Hogan tells the camera, he was our giant first, and that's my belt. On SmackDown, Harlem Heat would reunite and defeat the Hardy Boys. Sting successfully defends the WWF Championship against none other than Chris Jericho. On WWF.com, Kurt Angle versus Austin is announced for the #1 contendership at Unforgiven. Hogan will go on at Unforgiven to challenge WCW champion The Rock. And the WWF champion Sting will defend against none other than RVD and Chris Benoit. On Raw, DDP defends the U.S. title against Lance Storm and Test. Now this becomes basically a glorified handicap match with Test picking up the win and the title. That's right, people. Test. Who'd have thought the testicle won? Later in the night, Harlem Heat attacked the Brothers of Destruction and challenged them for the Tag Team Championships at Unforgiven. At Unforgiven, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats Kurt Angle with the help of Vince McMahon to become the new #1 contender. In a shock victory, however, Harlem Heat wins the WCW Tag Team Championships clearly over Kane and The Undertaker. Now, JR would hype Harlem Heat in their 13th WCW Tag Team Championship reign. I mean, let's face it, people. They were a badass tag team. They don't get enough respect. Put some respect on that name, player. Sting would, however, retain the WWF Championship in his triple threat matchup. Austin would attempt to get involved, but Goldberg would come down and make the save. In the main event, we get Hollywood Hulk Hogan with Eric Bischoff versus the WCW champion, The Rock. Now, we get WrestleMania 18 early on this right here, people. This will be an amazing matchup. We already know the chemistry these two had in the ring together. It's great. They both pull it off really well. Rock carrying the match. Fans clearly behind Hollywood. Great match despite NWO run-ins. The APA come down to help Rock at one point and outnumber, because Farouk and, The Rock, they are a nation. Hogan with brass knuckles, however, blasts Rock upside the head for the 1, 2, 3, and new undisputed WCW champion, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. After the match, Hogan and the NWO spray paint The Rock's back. For life, people. On Raw, Sting comes down to the ring and he calls out the NWO. Hogan teases Sting. Stinger, who would have thought we'd stand across the ring from each other one more time? And this time, you as the WWF champion and me as the WCW champ once again. Sting cuts him off real quick. Hulk, you aren't here to help WCW, just like you wasn't in 1995. You're here for ego, titles, and money. All you've ever cared about. Just while, like back then, I'm the one carrying the banner high for WCW. When this looked like a failed coup a few months ago, where was you and your little NWO then? Not here. I'm the one Eric and Shane called. I righted the ship. I won their title. But you know what? I need a tune-up for Stunning Steve at No Mercy. So how about it? How about we run it back? And it's champ versus champ, winner take all, tonight. The roof blows off the arena. Hogan, you're on, brother. So I guess that worked for him. Vince's music comes out. Hold on. A match of that magnitude requires a special ref. So it'll be next week. It's WCW champion Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus the WWF champion Sting with special guest referee Shawn Michaels in a no disqualification match. Guess we know where this is going, folks. On SmackDown, we got Austin versus Booker T. Solid matchup. Austin picks up the win. After the match, Austin is attacked by Stevie Ray, setting up a match for them next week on Raw. Now, Austin and Stevie could have been something. Stevie was a big boy. He was a real big boy. On Raw, Austin and Deborah versus Stevie Ray. Now, this goes exactly like you think it does. Even heelless Austin at the time, he's the #1 contender. He gets the win over Stevie Ray with a clean 1-2-3 after a stunner. Goldberg would defend the IC Championship against none other than The Undertaker. Taker holds his own, but Goldberg is just a beast in this era. Kane helps Taker win by attacking Goldberg while the ref is distracted by Y2J and new Intercontinental Champion, The Undertaker. In the main event, we get WCW Champion Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus WWF Champion Sting in a no disqualification match with Shawn Michaels as the ref. Sting, at the beginning, him and Shawn have a brief stare down with one another. You could just imagine the chemistry with these two guys right here. And I bet ratings would have been skyrocketing through the roof. The match is just a wide open bar fight. Tons of interference for Hogan. At one point, Nash powerbombs Sting just to get blasted in a chair by none other than Mankind. JR, Mankind, I've seen enough of the WCW champion in the NWO. Hollywood would dig Mankind. Then he leg drops Sting for a 1, 2, and a kick out. The Hulkster is in disbelief. Hall and the Giant come down next, but they're stopped by DDP and Dustin Rhodes, the Natural. Sting locks on the Scorpion. When out of nowhere, Vince comes running and screaming, "Do it! Do it!" HBK super kicks Sting. Hogan crawls over to cover Sting while Shawn fast counts. That's right, people. Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon just screwed over the Stinger. Jim Ross, damn it, they just screwed over Sting. Hollywood Hogan is a unified champion of the world. Vince and Shawn threw up a too sweet and joined the NWO. On SmackDown, Vince comes down, huge smile on his face. I don't know why everyone is surprised. I used the NWO to destroy WCW once before, and I just did it again. Now I control the WWF and the WCW championships. Sting was right. Hogan only cares about money, power, and title, and I gave him all three. So welcome your new undisputed unified champion and the NWO. Out then would come Hulk Hogan and the NWO. Hogan and Vince would laugh and hug, with the Hulkster kissing Vince on the cheek. Boss, you wanted WCW dead? Well, I'd say it's time to take them off the vent. And they both laugh. Scott Hall grabs the mic. Hey, yo, it's survey time. Did you come to see the WWF? Did you come here to see WCW? Or are you here for the NWO? One more for the bad guys. Because he can say bad guys there. Just as Nash goes to speak, the lights go out. Boom! Fire erupts and Kane and The Undertaker are in the ring attacking the NWO, as they're not happy that their boss has sided with the NWO. Then if you smell what The Rock is cooking, The Rock runs down. The numbers are still just too much when out of nowhere Sting drops from the rafters. Clear the ring with him. The NWO, Kane, Rock, nod to Kane, Undertaker, and The Rock. They nod to Sting with a sign of respect. Later in the night, Shane and Eric come out and state that WCW is alive and well despite the NWO showing their true colors. Undertaker, you stole the IC title with the help of Y2J and your brother, and at No Mercy, you will defend the title against Goldberg, Y2J, and the newest member of WCW when out walks none other than the Macho Man, Randy Savage, with Gorgeous George. What up, Mach? Ooh, yeah, the madness has returned. At No Mercy, October 21st, 2001. IC Championship 4-way title match. Y2J, Macho Man Goldberg, and the champion Undertaker. Macho Man pulls out the win by pinning Chris Jericho after an elbow drop. Shane Douglas, however, would go on to win the United States Championship from Test in a stinker of a match, -2 stars, just like you think it would be. The Outsiders, however, would win the WWF Tag Titles from the Steiners when Scott Steiner joins the NWO. Some things, no matter what universe, people. Booker T with Shane would pin Eddie Guerrero in a pretty solid match. In the main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Unified Champion Hollywood Hulk Hogan with Vince McMahon. Austin is still playing the chicken shit heel at this point since he's been since WrestleMania. The two have a so-so chemistry in the ring, working with Austin working this way. Hall and Nash come down, stand ringside. Several minutes later, out comes the Giant Six and Scott Steiner. At this point, Austin knows what's up. Vince distracts the ref. Giant choke slams Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hogan hits the leg drop for the dub. Afterwards, the NWO jump Austin, kicking the living shit out of him. One finisher after another, spray painting the back, and then all of a sudden, Sting arrives and clears the ring, points his bat at Hogan. On Raw, Vince is out bragging on the NWO dominance at No Mercy. Shane and Eric Bischoff come out and challenge the NWO to a match at Survivor Series. Rock and Kane come out next declaring that they want the NWO. Eric Bischoff goes, how about a one-match alliance? 3 WWF superstars and 3 WCW pro wrestlers versus 6 NWO pieces of shit. Or as The Rock would say, monkey shit. The Rock, Bischoff, I trust you about as far as I can throw the Giant's fat ass, but Sting, I do trust you. Pick your 3, we got ours. It's made official. The NWO, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Hall, Nash, Six, the Giant with Mr. McMahon versus Sting, Goldberg, Luger, Rock, Kane, and The Undertaker. The main event of the match is Macho Man defending the IC title against Scott Steiner. Vince comes down with Scott Steiner. You can feel the huge hate between these two men. Just every time Vince and Macho is on the camera together, he shouldn't have took Slim Jim with him. Or maybe messed with his little girl. I don't know which one it was. You can feel the hate between the two. Gorgeous George keeps Vince from interfering while Macho Man drops the elbow drop on Steiner to retain. The NWO rush the ring, but Team WWF comes down and Luger and Goldberg with Luger, Goldberg, and DDP and Sting. The NWO are in the back. DDP and The Rock are in a fight because of due to a miscommunication. The Alliance fight to end the show. It's not looking good for Survivor Series, people. It is a muddled mess. On SmackDown, The Rock opens the show calling out that piece of trailer park trash, DDP. DDP comes out through the crowd. Hey, Rocky, there's only one people's champion, and you're looking at him. How about tonight we fight for your spot on Team Alliance at Survivor Series? Bang! The Rock agrees. In the main event, we get The Rock versus DDP and People's Champ versus People's Champ. Well, we get a 4-star matchup, a Meltzer level matchup on this right here. Close to the finish, Paige nails the diamond cutter on The Rock for a 1, 2, and a ref bump. Of course, the NWO are working DDP over by now. Rock covers Paige for the win, and Ross goes, what the hell did we just see? Is The Rock NWO? On Raw, it's going to open up as the NWO jump Kane, injuring him to where he cannot be at Survivor Series. Ross really sells this and questions The Rock loyalty. Later in the show, Taker calls out The Rock, asking him if he is NWO. The Rock would refute the accusations. Out comes Sting. Rocky, I know a little something about mind games and the NWO playing by making your friends question you. Hell, before they were there, I was a happy warrior, so to speak, in bright colors. So I'll just say this. Don't make me doubt you. Before The Rock can even respond, the Titantron airs a video of the NWO jumping Lex Luger. Now the alliance is down 2 members, as Kane and Lex Luger are now no longer able to compete at Survivor Series. Vince busts Luger open with a lead pipe. Hogan, see you next week, and they begin to laugh. It's announced on WWF.com that Kane and Luger will be out of action for several weeks. Also at the Survivor Series, we will get Intercontinental Champion The Macho Man versus Kurt Angle, U.S. Champion Shane Douglas versus Scott Steiner, WCW Tag Team Champions Harlem Heat versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys. In a kind of a head-scratcher of a match and an odd pairing, we get the APA versus Ric Flair and Chris Benoit. Also, a mystery ref for the main event of Survivor Series. Now on Raw, we get Bam Bam Bigelow versus Mankind in a hardcore match. Now this is a barn burner. You can just imagine the matchup these two guys could have had. An ECW style matchup. A good ECW style matchup. The NWO with Vince comes down and attacks both men. Out comes Kurt Angle and turns NWO, helping them beat down Bam Bam Bigelow and Mankind. Sting and Goldberg, Taker, Rock run down as they have had enough. They fight valiantly, but it's 8-on-4 at this point. Macho and DDP come down to help, but the numbers are still just too damn much. Then the glass shatters, and out comes a seething Stone Cold Steve Austin. Punches and stunners galore. Austin is Team Alliance. Ross would lose his shit. Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Stone Cold! NWO begin to retreat. Sting takes the mic and goes, "Oh, Vinny, I forgot to tell you. I made some calls, and our last member is here tonight as well." Familiar guitar screech fills the arena as Bret Hitman Hart returns and joins Team Alliance. Vince is livid. That's right, people. He recovered from the Goldberg kick in our What If. What If at Survivor Series? The pre-show interview with Team Alliance. The Rock. NWO, tonight we're going to lift the smackdown on your candy asses, Rudy Poos. The Undertaker. This is your yard, and we're going to show you why you don't mess with the baddest dogs on the block. Sting just smiles and looks around and simply points to Bret. Bret, well, Vince, you were right. Back to the scene. We're right back to the scene of the crime. You tried to erase me and my legacy, and tonight I remind the WWF why I am the excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Goldberg, he just simply looks and goes, NWO, you're next. Austin closes with nothing more than, and that's the bottom line, Team Alliance, because Stone Cold said so. Opening match of the night is going to be Ric Flair and Chris Benoit in a close one over the APA. After the match, Flair and Benoit throw up that iconic 4. Ross looks to to the King and goes, "Do you see what I see?" And the King goes, "Yeah, and I think that's trouble for the NWO, the WCW, and the WWF." Who could their other 2 members be? Drop some comments below and let me know. Scott Steiner would win the U.S. Championship from Shane Douglas with the Steiner Recliner. Harlem Heat would retain the WCW Tag Team Championships when they debuted using a new tag finisher called the Guillotine, the same one that Demolition used to use for years on Matt Hardy for the win. IC title match. Macho Man with Gorgeous George versus Kurt Angle. Macho works the crowd, Kurt carries the match, and the two work really well together. Angle uses the title on Macho, Angle slam, 1, 2, 3, and a new IC champion, Kurt Angle. Now backstage, Vince and the NWO are laughing, congratulating Scott Steiner on winning the U.S. title and Kurt for winning the IC title. Scott Hall will look and go, "Hey yo, Vince, they forgot about the special guest referee." Vince soon, they'll never forget his name. And as far as Austin and that Canadian goof goes, they're as good as fired when they lose tonight, declaring that they will lose their jobs if they lose. Nash. They say the cheese line pays real good in Georgia. Hogan, sorry boys, Vince and I built the WWF and WCW, and tonight we destroy them both. So what you gonna do when Vince McMahon and the NWO run wild on you, bruh? 6. Well, that was just too sweet. So we get into the main event, people. The lights go out as a special guest referee makes his entrance. And the lights come back on, and it's none other than JEFF, JARRETT. That's Double J, Jeff Jarrett, holding up an NWO guitar. That's right, people. He was a member of NWO 2000. The Chosen One has returned, and he controls the fate of this matchup. Out next comes the NWO. Everyone giving Jarrett the too sweet as they enter the ring. Then he and Vince embrace, of all people. JR, they've been working us all for years. These bastards. Team Alliance comes out next with Bret making the final entrance. The roof would blow off when the Hitman makes his return. Team Alliance, they argue over who's going to start first for them. Nash steps into the ring for the NWO, so Taker gets the nod. Over the opening minutes of the matchup, we get a lot of back and forth with a few quick tags. Team NWO draws the first blood, however, pinning the Undertaker after a quick count by Double J as the Big Show makes the cover. Undertaker is furious, and he choke slams and gives Jarrett a last ride, eliminating the special ref. Out comes Earl. Vince steps into the ring and starts putting his finger in Earl's chest, giving him the rundown of what he would do. Bret immediately jumps in and blasts Vince over several rights upside the head and a side Russian leg sweep. He then goes for the sharpshooter, but Hogan runs into the save. Vince and Bret dodges the clothesline. Rock puts a rock bottom on Hulk as Vince tags 6. Now, 6 and Bret would have a great few minutes to settle the match back down. Bret tags Sting, and he death drops 6, eliminating him for the win. Giant jumps in as Sting tags Goldberg. Spear, jackhammer, and the Giant is gone as well. Hall and Nash jump Goldberg at this point. Nash takes over the match as the legal man. He works Goldberg over for a while with his 6 moves of doom. Tagging in Hogan. Body slam, leg drop, and now Goldberg is out. Rock takes his place with the ref distracted. Hogan hits The Rock with brass knuckles. The Rock is eliminated. This ain't looking good for Team Alliance, people. It is now Sting, Bret, and Stone Cold left versus Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Vince. The NWO take control for the next several minutes. Hall puts the outsider's edge on Bret, but Vince demands the tag, wanting some retribution for Montreal. Vince tags with Bret, a few kicks to the midsection, just toying with his food, so to speak. He stands Bret up, who's wobbly. Vince goes for a stunner when Bret counters. Sharpshooter is locked on. Vince screams in pain, quickly tapping out. Bret tags Austin in very fast so that he can get out of there. Austin comes in for a stunner on Nash. 1, 2, 3. Nash is eliminated. We start getting a fast succession of pins here, people. Hall rushes into a Scorpion Death Drop and a 1, 2, 3. Now it is Hulk Hogan who is left all alone with Bret, Sting, and Austin. Now you can just imagine where this goes right here. Stunner, Death Drop, Sharpshooter. Hogan taps to the remaining 3 men. Stand tall to close the show as the undisputed champion just gave up to the Alliance to close the show. Now we could go a lot of different ways from here. I'm going to be honest, people, I could have stayed in the weeds on this one right here. I was trying to get through this really fast. I apologize if it got a little rushed in places, but this is one that I could have easily probably done 3 episodes on. But to get it out there in the magnitude that I wanted to do, I wanted to get at least a quick 6 months of what we should do. So you let me know. You drop some comments below. Tell me what you agreed with, what you disagreed with. We're working in perfect world fashion here, people. It's a what if. Let me know what you thought could have been different. Let me know, do you want to see an actual part 2 to this? And do we go a little further into the weeds in the second part? But at the end of the day, remember, the card is always subject to change.